Hey guys, I am back with another slouchy hat tutorial. This is the Autumn Breeze Beanie. So this hat features a double brim, so it's extra cozy and insulated. We've got some eyelet stitch detailing, some stockinette, and a little bit of purl stitch thrown in there for you. You can wear this hat plain, you can slap a pom-pom on it. It's very versatile, it's super comfy, super cute. Let me show you the crown. The crown features a nice spiralized decrease to tie it all in together. If you want to learn how to knit this beanie, keep watching and I will go over the materials with you. Okay, for this project you will need one skein of number 4 medium worsted weight yarn. I'm using Impeccable Solids by Loops and Threads in the color gold, but you can use any medium worsted weight yarn that you would like. You will need scissors or clippers. You will need size 4.5 millimeter and 5 millimeter 16-inch circular knitting needles. So you need the smaller set for the brim and the larger set for the body. You also need a longer cord or double pointed needles for decreasing. You need a tapestry needle, a stitch marker, and if you would like to make your very own cute little pumpkin, I will leave the tutorial linked in the description below. So once you have all of your materials, you're ready to get started, come back and I will show you what to do next. Okay, for this pattern, you are going to want to use your 4.5 millimeter circular knitting needles, cast on 88 stitches and join in the round. I've already done this for sake of saving time. So once you have your 88 stitches, you've joined in the round, we are going to be knitting a 1x1 rib. So you have two options here for the brim. If you would like to do a single layered brim, you will knit one, purl one for 12 rounds. If you would like to make it a double brim, like I showed you at the beginning of the video, I have a separate tutorial, so you can go jump over to that tutorial, check it out, and then come back here. So a double brim, again, is thicker, it's much more insulated. It is made using 2 layers of knit fabric instead of 1. So if you want to do this double brim, go check out my other video, just for sake of saving time. But either way, whether you're doing a single brim or a double brim, we are going to be knitting a 1x1 rib. So let me just show you what that looks like. You'll start by knitting the first stitch. Let me zoom in here for you. So go in knitwise, wrap your yarn and pull through. So you're going to knit one, bring your working yarn towards the front, go into the next stitch purlwise, wrap your yarn and pull through. Purl one, knit one, purl one. Knit one, purl one. And so like I mentioned before, if you would like to do a single brim, you will simply knit one, purl one. So do a 1x1 rib for 12 rounds. But if you would like to do a double brim, go hop on over, check out that video, and I'll explain all the details there. And then once your brim is finished, come back and I'll show you what to do next. Once your brim is complete, switch to your 5 millimeter circular knitting needles. Before we begin the body of our hat, we are going to knit a setup round first. So for our setup round, we are going to be yarning over, which means we're going to take our working yarn, bring the working yarn to the front of our work, and then we will knit the next 2 stitches together. So go in knitwise into the next 2 stitches, and you can see that your yarn over will get caught. Pull through, slide off. That is it. So we're just going to repeat. Yarn over, so bring the working yarn to the front of our work, knit the next 2 stitches together, pull through. And that is what's going to create those little holes, those little eyelet stitches. I want to mention that when you yarn over, you are adding a stitch, okay? But when you knit 2 stitches together, you're decreasing 1 stitch. So even though we are adding an extra stitch, we're also decreasing by 1. So at the end of the setup round, you should still have 88 stitches total on your needles. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. So you can see here, those are our little holes. So just keep repeating these steps until you make it back to the stitch marker. So once you have finished the setup round, you're ready to begin the body of your hat. So rounds 1 through 4 are simply going to be knit rounds. So for round 1, we are going to begin by knitting. So see these long strands, these are our yarn overs. You're going to go into the yarn over exactly as you would a regular knit stitch. You're going to go in knitwise, wrap your yarn, and pull through. And you should have these little gaps here. Don't worry, if you see these holes, that means you did it right. I remember the first time I did this stitch, it freaked me out. So don't worry, you're doing it correctly. And like I said, we are just simply going to be knitting each stitch. Here's the next yarn over, go in as if to knit, pull through, and that is it. Keep knitting, keep working your way around. Make sure you are going into those yarn overs knitwise, pulling through. So like I said before, rounds 1 through 4 are simply knit rounds. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. Hopefully you guys are comfortable knitting. So once you make it to round 5, I will show you what to do next. Okay, so we just completed round 4 and we are ready to begin round 5. So at this point you should start to see your stockinette stitch working up a bit. You should have those nice little openings here at the bottom. And so for round 5, we are simply going to be purling all the way around. If you stick around to the end of round 5, I'm going to show you a trick using that last stitch, and I will be showing you how to create a jogless purl. Okay, so in order to purl, you need to bring your working yarn to the front of your work. And when you knit, you use the tip of your right hand needle and you go in through the front of the stitch out of the back. But when you purl, working yarns to the front, you insert your right hand needle through the front of the stitch and it comes out on the same side in the front of the stitch. Then you want to wrap your yarn and pull through. So again, we're going to insert our needle through the front of our stitch, wrap our yarn, pull through. Go in through the front of the stitch, wrap our yarn, pull through. And when you purl, you will start to see these little what are called purl bumps. So just keep working and you're going to continue purling all the way around, and you want to stop. If you want to do the jogless join technique, you are going to want to stop purling at the very last stitch. So keep going and then I will show you what to do when you get to the end of this round. Okay, we made it to our last stitch here. What we're going to do is slip this last stitch purlwise. So we're going to go into the stitch purlwise and slip it onto our right hand needle. Then we will remove our stitch marker. And here we have that first purl stitch. There's the purl bump right there. We are going to use the tip of our right hand needle and gently lift that purl bump up and place it onto the left hand needle. Then we will place that slip stitch onto the left hand needle. And lastly, we will knit or purl both of those stitches together. So the slip stitch and the lifted purl bump, we are going to purl both of those stitches together. like so. And that is it. That is the jogless purl technique. It's really simple, and I just think that it makes our work just look a little bit nicer, a little more clean. So moving on, rounds 6, 7, 8, and 9 are simply knit rounds. So we are just going to go into each stitch and knit for the next 4 rounds. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time showing you these steps. Hopefully you are comfortable knitting at this point. So once you are finished with rounds 6 through 9, I will meet you for round 10 and I will show you what to do next. So round 10 should look familiar to you. Round 10 is the exact same as our setup round. We are going to be yarning over and knitting 2 stitches together. Catching that yarn over here, wrapping and pulling through. And that's it. So we're going to repeat. Bring your working yarn to the front, yarn over, and knit the next 2 stitches together. And that is it. So you're just going to repeat these steps until you make it back to the stitch marker. So after you've completed round 10, you have knit your first repeat of the body. So you're going to want to repeat rounds 1 through 10 for a total of 3 times. So once you've repeated the body, so steps 1 through 10, a total of 3 times, then we will be ready to decrease our beanie. So once you're there, I will show you what it'll look like, and I will show you then how to begin decreasing your beanie. So once you've repeated steps 1 through 10 of the body 3 times, this is what your hat should look like. And now we are ready to begin decreasing our beanie. So for round 1 of our decrease, we are simply going to knit each stitch in the round. So just keep working those knits until you make it all the way back to the stitch marker. And then I will show you what to do for round 2. For round 2 of our decrease, we will knit 9 stitches, knit 2 together, knit 9 stitches, and then slip, slip, knit. So let's start first by knitting 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then we will knit the next 2 stitches together. Then we will knit another 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now we're going to be doing what is called a slip, slip, knit. So you're going to go into the first stitch as if to knit, but instead of knitting, you're going to slide it onto your right hand needle. And then again, go in as if to knit, and then slip it onto your right hand needle. Now we need to replace these 2 stitches back onto our left hand needle and knit those 2 slip stitches together through the back loop. So we're going back in through the back loop of both of those stitches and knitting both together. and that is a slip slip knit. So the knit two together gives you a right leaning decrease, and the slip slip knit, maybe you can see here, leans towards the left. And this is what is going to give us the spiral decrease. For round 3 of our decrease, we are simply going to knit all the way around. So just go ahead and knit each stitch until you make it back to the stitch marker. Okay, for round 4 of our decrease, we will knit 8, knit 2 together, knit 8, and slip slip knit. So we'll start by knitting the first 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we will knit these next 2 stitches together. And you can see here, there's our first knit 2 together that we did. And as you continue working, you'll begin to see them stack, and you'll begin to see that spiral decrease pattern coming in more clearly. So knit the next 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and again we have a slip slip knit. So go into each of the next 2 stitches knitwise and slip it onto our right hand needle. That's 1, 2. Then we need to place these 2 slip stitches back onto our left hand needle. As you're slipping it back onto your left hand needle, you may notice that your right needle is already positioned through the back loops of those 2 stitches. So you can just go ahead and knit through the back loop if you don't want to have to take the stitches off and then replace them. You can kind of do it all in one motion. So keep going until you make it back to the stitch marker. For round 5 of our decrease, we are going to be purling, and I'm purling this round to kind of as a continuation of our pattern, so it just flows a little bit more nicely. So for this round, we are simply going to purl each stitch in our round. So just keep going until you make it back to the stitch marker, and I will meet you for round 6 and show you what to do next. Round 6, we will knit 7, knit 2 together, knit 7, and slip slip knit. And at some point your stitches are going to get too tight, and you are going to either have to switch to a longer cord if you want to do the magic loop method, or switch to a pair of double pointed needles so you can continue decreasing your beanie. Just wanted to throw that out there. So we will begin by knitting 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Knit the next 2 stitches together. Knit 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then slip, slip, knit. So for round 7 of our decrease, we are simply going to knit each stitch in the round. So without spending too much time here, I'll show you a couple of knit stitches, so just keep working until you make it back to the stitch marker, and then I will show you what to do next. For round 8 of our decrease, we will knit 6, knit 2 together, knit 6, and slip, slip, knit. So here we go. We'll knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knit the next 2 stitches together, then knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and slip, slip, knit. Okay, so I had to switch to a longer cord so that I can continue decreasing my hat. So for round 9, we are just going to simply knit each stitch just as we have done before. So just keep on knitting, and once you make it back to the stitch marker, I will show you what to do for the next round. So for round 10, we will knit the first 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we will knit the next 2 stitches together. We will knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we will slip, slip, knit. So just keep going until you make it back to your stitch marker. So for round 11, we are just going to knit each stitch. So keep on knitting until you make it back to your stitch marker, and then I will show you what to do for the next round. Okay, for round 12, we will knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then knit 2 stitches together. Knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And slip, slip, knit. So at this point, we are no longer separating our decrease rounds by knit rounds. So for round 13, we are going to knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and then knit 2 together. Knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip, slip, knit. So round 14 of our decrease, we will knit 2 stitches, knit the next 2 stitches together, knit 2, and slip, slip, knit. Okay, you guys, we are on decrease round 15. We are almost there, almost done. So we will knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1, and slip, slip, knit. Okay, we made it. This is the last round of our decrease. We are simply going to knit 2 together and slip, slip, knit all the way around. So we'll start by knitting 2 stitches together, and then slip, slip, knit. Make sure the beanie is nice and secure, I like to take my needle and then go in underneath the top loops here at the very center of my beanie. It's kind of like a star shaped pattern that forms in the center after you cinch your beanie. So I like to just run my yarn underneath those top loops. And then I go down through the center. And then I do the same thing on the underside. I run my yarn through those loops in the center. Okay guys, this is our finished beanie. I really love the way that the crown looks. I love this beautiful spiral design. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I had such a fun time creating this hat. So please consider liking, subscribing, share if you think it's worth sharing. I would love to continue making these hats and sharing my designs with you guys. So all that being said, I hope that you are well no matter where it is that you are. Until next time, keep it cozy, and I'll see you in the next one.